Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Delhi Township Board of Trustees meeting. It's December 2nd, 2020. We welcome all you that are watching on Facebook Live and social media. We have a pretty packed agenda tonight. We have budget and everything else to go over, so it'll be a lengthy meeting. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment, and then we'll have a moment of silence. I think moment of silence goes out for obviously the first responders and people that are battling the COVID. The incredible teams also with some good news on the way with the vaccines. Keep the prayers coming, everyone stay safe and we'll get through this. But our prayers are for those that are battling the elements, those that have lost loved ones, and for also all those people on the front line that are battling it every day. So please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll have the approval of the minutes, please. Mr. Luby.
Motion to approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting held on November 17th, 2020, and dispense with the reading.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
Motion to approve payment of overtime for pay period ending 11/17/2020.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved.
Motion to approve bills for payment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved. Report from the fiscal officer. Continue, Mr. Luby.
No report tonight.
Very good. Thank you. Trustee correspondence. Trustee starts.
Okay. We've spoken in the past about extracurricular projects that we get involved in as trustees out in the community and so on and so forth. So I want to congratulate Trustee Cheryl Seavey. She's been selected to present at a conference being held at the Ohio State University John Glenn College of Public Affairs, and it's for women. And the subject is Ready to Run campaign training, and so we're very proud that she was selected down here in our little township of Delhi. So Cheryl, go and prosper. You're an expert in this field, so very, very wise choice. So congratulations, very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very honored to be part of this program, and it's statewide. And anytime I can carry the banner of Delhi Township, I'm very happy and proud to do it. So Saturday on Zoom, we'll be there.
Right, great, good. And also, don't forget Saturday is St. Nick night.
Oh. Good reminder.
Very good. Okay, so that's good on that. Obviously, we're getting lots of mail and lots of great things about the Remke project and that building coming down. So just watching lots of fun in 2021. There's no question. It's going to be a great project. So we'll keep moving here. Public hearing, please.
We have a motion to approve the opening of the public hearing for 2021 construction, repair, and maintenance of sidewalks, curbs, and gutters, along with various township streets.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Who do we have up there? Ron?
Yes.
Ron, great.
Thank you, trustees. I did want to let the trustees know that we did send out about 100 letters out of 170 residents or houses that are involved in this project that we're moving forward with next year. We did put extra language in these letters that if they did want an opportunity to be heard at the hearing, that they could also do it on Zoom or what have you, or we would definitely work with them. We haven't had anybody contact us wanting us to do that, but I just want to let you know that that language was in there. But the public hearing is a opportunity for the residents to be heard in reference the 2021 sidewalk project. Over 100 letters were mailed out with estimated costs. and how our sidewalk program works. And we were able to mark our sidewalks well in advance. So we've answered a lot of questions, had a lot of phone calls, and actually have had a lot of residents doing their own work and pulling a lot of permits this summer. So they knew in advance. So overall, the project is pretty lengthy. It's 1.5 miles of road we'll be paving next year. But the sidewalks overall are in pretty good condition, and I think that probably helps too. But as
Very
far
good.
as I know, nobody contacted us for the hearing. Thanks.
Very good. Any questions, Trustee Seavey, Trustee Sturts?
Nothing. Thank
No,
you.
Thank you. Thanks for your good work.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ron. We have a motion.
Motion to close the public hearing for 2021 construction, repair, and maintenance of sidewalks, curbs, and gutters along various township streets.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion is approved. Thank you so much. As we said at the beginning of the meeting, tonight is the night where we have our budget presentations. 8 of our department heads will be presenting their budgets here tonight. And on behalf of the trustees, I know we've all received the folder and the binder, and we've all had tons of time to look at it, which is nice. So we'll just open it up from there. I know we're going to start with Public Works with Ron Rippinger. But do you have an opening sentence, Jack, to begin, or are we digging right in?
Well, I'll set the stage, and since we have the technical capability to maybe show people a little bit that we normally can't do very easily, I might set the stage for what each department head is going to highlight. And I'm just going to briefly show what you get and what you approve each year is a multi-page, what we call a budget, or in this case, your appropriations. And you are appropriating money to each fund to be spent for the next year. So that's your control of the purse strings. So this is what our document looks like. And I'm going to quickly go to the bottom. So each department ultimately has line items that they get appropriated and can spend out of. And the sum total is at the bottom of the sheet you ultimately approve. So these are funds that we are allocated from tax dollars or other revenue streams. And these, for this year, they currently are totaling 24.5 or so $1 million. And I won't go into ad nauseam explanation of that, but each department is going to outline what their fund entails in some brevity, but this is, I wanted to point out what these all total and add up to. So when Ron talks about each one of his funds, they end up on this compilation sheet, which you approve each year. So the other thing I would add is in the middle of the year, the board approves a tax budget, and this is a July activity, and it's sent to the tax commission, which is the auditor, treasurer, and prosecutor for the county. And they certify how much money can be appropriated from each fund. So it's basically an oversight of what you're allowed to spend, your resources for that year. So that is a control number we use for each fund and how much can be spent. So with that, I am going to give Ron the floor. And Ron, there you go.
Thank you again, trustees. I will start out, as I always do, my motor vehicle license tax fund, smallest fund I have. The estimated resources is 47,000. Appropriations equal 36,000. The big thing that on my budget that I always look at and actually talk to Fab about a lot, or they have a lot of questions for, is the road project. And on this fund, there's only 2 things that's come out of it, is the road project at 25,000, and then insurance and bonding at 11,000. So like I said, the big thing we watch is that repairs and maintenance, which is the road contract. Any questions on that?
Done it.
Well, I have one question. We're down this year, 2021, in repairs and maintenance, about, Is there a reason? Are we doing less roads? Or last year we had it, you identified for us who we were rehabilitating. Are we going to go through that again?
We stuck to the same 5-year plan for the most part, but it always varies a little bit on how much the road contract comes in, how much you spend on salt. You can always add, or, you know, sometimes you're not able to do as many streets depending on the winter or what have you. Actually, that 25,000 went down a little bit just because our estimated resources, I believe, comes from the county.
Okay,
We can't really spend over that amount,
okay,
and that's why. But we do use the road contract to control our fund balance in each fund.
okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just want to let the residents realize that we're not decreasing the number of the roads that we're maintaining. That when you see a decrease in dollars, sometimes that can be translated to decrease in services. And I'm glad to hear that that's not going to be the situation.
Okay, I'll touch base with that on other funds, and you'll see we're
Okay.
definitely not decreasing paving this year. It's actually
All right.
increased. Okay, on to the gasoline fund. And again, we haven't had to make a lot of changes. Let's see, for the road project, the rest of the funds that we mainly look at, including FAB, is fund number 360. Each fund from here on out will have that fund, and it's contracted services. You see the 463, and as you go through other pages, that means we're putting 450,000 into our road project. So again, that's the biggest highlight of my budget, really. And I'll touch base on a total of that at the end when we get to the last fund.
Okay.
Very good.
Salt is obviously, I'll touch base with that just for a second. Last year's winter was pretty light. We really didn't have to spend much on salt. I actually just ordered salt today, but our dome is not completely full. So I could definitely see us spending some salt money next year, to warn you ahead of time. So, and that was just because we share the dome with the county and we borrow their conveyor, and there's some logistics there where we weren't able to fill it at the end of last year. So any questions on the gasoline fund? Oh, I should make note, there was some concerns as far as our estimated resources, the revenue we get from the gasoline fund, just due to COVID and everything. We did keep a good eye on that all year. And although there was a minor decrease in revenue, it really wasn't enough to affect us much. I believe it might've been 17,000 out of 340, I believe. So it was down a little bit, but not much.
Ron, you might want to re-note that last year there was a big jump in the gas tax that through the state, the legislation changed, so that fund went up in total.
Yeah, that came close to almost doubling the revenue amount when they made that change. And again, as you can tell, we just increased what we paid, and any kind of extra money or money we don't spend the previous year, we just try to pave more streets. Thanks, Jack. Okay, moving on to road and bridge. This is probably our biggest fund. Our estimated resources is 1.1 million. Appropriations 954,000. And again, you can take a look at that contracted services account number 360 there. And we're putting 350,000 into the road project this year. So like I said, I'll give you a total at the end and touch base with that. Operating costs are about 600,000 out of that account. Pretty much, we really haven't changed anything else in that account. It's been pretty standard or the same as last year, other than that. Any questions on road and bridge?
No.
Motor vehicle permissive tax. This is mostly the $5 added tax when you pick up your motor vehicle license. Estimated resources at 400,000 and total appropriations 313. Again, look at the account number 360 contracted services. And this year we were taking 50,000 out for our road project. And that's probably a little less than normal, just that account was getting a little lower. So we're taking a little less and pulling more out of a different account. So it's kind of a shell game in the contracted services account, but that's how we keep things steady as far as a balance.
Ron, last year you were supposed to replace heaters in the bay. Did that get done on last year's budget?
Yes, it did. It actually came in a little less than we thought. And we were actually able to kind of reuse some equipment out of the Remke building. So we saved some money there, and we kind of got an extra heater at a low minimum cost. So it worked out really good.
Oh, good.
So you helped in the demo.
You can say that. Recycled some equipment. But like I said, 50,000 out of that for the road contract. I believe there's no other highlights in that account. I think instead of the heaters this year, we were going to do a roof replacement to our office, which is kind of standard, you know, some kind of a building upgrade that we'll do out of that account every year. And as far as that 360 account that I keep talking about, as far as the road project, our total out of our accounts that we're putting toward our road project is 875,000. So that's a really good year for us as far as road paving. There is the list in front of you of the streets we're paving. Again, it equals almost 1.5 miles. We've been looking and wanting to do this project in a while. If you notice there, that's kind of the main arteries out of that subdivision. So we're pretty excited about that. To get our total cost of this project, which is 1.2 million, we would be receiving 250 out of Tiff, and then additional money to cover to front the money for sidewalks also. So it would equal the bid amount number would be about 1.2 million, which normally comes in less than that also. Let's see, that is about all I had, unless anybody had any other questions.
Trustee Sturts, anything else?
No, totally understand. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Trustee Seavey?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you so much, Ron.
Thanks.
Parks Department, Randy Soupy.
Hello, trustees.
Hello.
Hello,
Randy.
hello.
How's everybody? I have my budget in front of me. The Parks Department budget isn't with COVID and everything going on. It hasn't changed a whole lot. We have added a few items that need to be added on for next year. Along with starting with the salaries, I have noted that I have taken over for the interim parks director, but we still are in. It is an upwards motion that we're going to pretty much hire for somebody or fill that position. So that number is still in the department, in the salary departments. Mm-hmm. So the money in there will cover the salary when it comes up. The next, the medical, the health insurance, everything just goes up a little bit. That's like natural. The next item I have is contracted services. That is 360000. Changes over a new program from Office Tracker to a system that better suits our needs for scheduling events and fields, ball fields like the Lodge, Senior Center, etc. So that's going up, I believe, around $4,000. So that puts everything from originally from 63.6 to 67.9. And then I don't know if there's any questions about that at all.
Randy, on last year's budget, we were doing some tree removals. I see that we got $10,000 in there now for property services. So we didn't get, or we have new trees to remove again?
Yeah, we have constant tree removal with the ash borer. We concentrated more on near Storywoods Park this year. We had a few fall on some fencing and trees we had to replace. So there are still others. There's a strip along that property that it needs to be maintained, and they're falling here and there. And a couple of them are getting, back in the trails, they're falling, and it's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but it's natural to fall in there, and they're out of the way. But when you have a strip going down property, that's where we have to access, get somebody in there and take care of the dead trees there.
Okay.
So they've been out twice this year already for that property.
And we were going to change all the parking lights to LED. Did that happen in last year's budget?
Yes, they all got changed over.
All right.
And I should note, along with the senior center is down from last year also to this next year, because we did have a grant, I believe, for the inside lighting for all the senior center. We replaced all the lighting. That was quite a job. It was there's a lot to do in there, and then we also did the lodge the year before. So
Very good.
So then on the next one, I have a little change to would be the operating supplies along with small tools and minor equipment. Those kind of go together. That's an annual maintenance of field fencing, netting, benches, etc., that are kind of damaged, so we have to replace as we go. And lastly, I believe a major change. Not that it's a change, but for the improvement of the playground, we have also, for improvement of sites, we've kept in another $75,000 to go towards a new playground coming up. So
Okay.
we're able to do that and add to that cost of the playground itself.
Okay.
And I believe, I don't know if Jack has added photos and added comments for the playground. I have a little more information. I believe it was sent on with the site because of the procurement. We're able to directly buy equipment that was quoted without going out to state bid. So we can possibly get this year's pricing, and we can get it ahead of time instead of going out. But the rest of the project has still got the state bid, like the components of digging, prep work, site installation, grounds work, that kind of stuff. So that'll all still go out to state bid.
Okay.
That's what they're hoping on right now for it to finalize. And the monies that are coming from that are CBDG funds, state capital budget, some money saved from the Remke side as well on the demo, park budget, and the Tiff money. So, and that entails with the original design of the park project. There's a tall tower, small climbing features, structures. We have a crab trap. We go around, and newly added, we're hoping with this cost increases, that we'll add on special needs equipment, sensory walls, sway ramps, some swings, and a musical equipment. And along with that, we've added, which is a better option, of more seating that's covered for everybody to handle, and upgrading the existing structure with the shelters pad also.
Shelter.
So hopefully that'll all come into play and start us. All the bids come in. Hopefully we can get going when ground falls out. So.
Good.
Completion early spring,
That all depends on how it goes.
if the snow and ice melts.
Yeah, you got it.
Great.
Very good. Any questions, Trustee Starks, Stevie?
No, thank you.
One question, Randy.
Yes.
I just kind of figured my memory. Under training services, how are we doing on having someone certified for insecticides in the park?
I myself am certified. I got certified probably 4 years ago when a previous member of the group had left, and me and 3 other men went and got our license done. So I'm always continuously going to get my license renewed.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, and we're always looking. We always have a little extra money in for any extra added bonus that we can improve everybody on the staff to go get certified in any kind of qualifications like that.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Continue. Randy, is that all you had?
I believe that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. There's no other questions, then we'll roll into Chief Doug Campbell with the Fire Department. Hi, Chief.
Good evening. So I'll just kind of give a summary of where we're at. The fire department, 2021 does represent the 3rd year of our 5-year levy cycle. So being in our 3rd year, 2021 is a $6.3 million budget does represent a little bit over a quarter of the township's total operational expense. So given that, we are looking at a 6.7% increase over 2019. Manage that through a lot of our expense increases kind of fall under our personnel costs that represent about 15% of our overall, or I'm sorry, 85% of our overall budget is personnel costs. So taken into that, those are contractual obligations, those are shared services, salaries, benefits, things that typically are fixed. And with us, with having the number of contracts that we do, we can anticipate those year to year. One difference is we are going to be negotiating soon for a part-time contract. So that is an anticipated appropriation in the 2021 budget to account for that. Not looking, or I don't anticipate any major staffing changes. What that is to say that we are at full staffing. We do have all positions filled and continue that through 2021. No changes in those operations. Some good news, we are looking at a 50% reduction in our user fee from Hamilton County for communications costs. You know, when you can reduce it, and it's going from $10 to $5 per call, it's significant, and it does help budgetarily the local government. I mean, we've seen that, you know, as high as $15, you know, per run, and certainly Chief Howard has the same issues, and we go on the same calls. Those expenses do add up for local communities, so it's nice, and that is a bit of good news that we can anticipate that $5 user fee. So looking forward to that. As I've mentioned in years past, a big part of our operation is moving over and taking advantage of the technology that's out there for records management, our dispatching, our ability to communicate. So in doing that, we are seeing an increase in our software and hardware usage. With that is the amount of data usage. So that is another significant increase because a lot of our devices are on the ambulances and the engines, and those devices are use data just like your typical phone would. We're utilizing cellular data when they're in the station. They're utilizing the the Wi-Fi. And what it's good is essentially for those that may not know and watching from home is all our apparatus now are dispatched based on where they're located, not necessarily in the station. So if they're out doing an inspection and they're closer to the call, that unit's going to get dispatched. So to the end user, the customer, what they have to look forward to is even faster response times than what we've been able to provide because the closest unit is getting dispatched. So to take advantage of that technology, we're tapping into that as well. And that does have cellular data usage. Also with 2021, we're continuing with our cancer prevention program. Over the years, a big part of that is to maintain our turnout gear and ways to clean it. We are going to follow along suit with other agencies that have already gone to this and start purchasing second sets of gear. If you can imagine, firefighter exposed to all the hazardous materials, and for our agency, we just can't swap you out into new clean gear to finish out your tour. You know, when they're working 24 hours, we don't have the luxury of putting them out of service either. So this will give us an option to safely get them into clean gear while we're deconning the old gear. So this will be a 3-year program. 2021 will be the beginning of that program. I expect to finance it and seek grant funding to assist that for the next 2 years after 2021. I did mention the technology. So location is one thing that we're going to take advantage of as well, and that is an enhanced station alerting system. And I'm looking to install that into all 3 stations. Our current alerting, dispatch and alerting system is about 25 to 30-year-old technology. So it's time for us to bring us up the course and take advantage of the new communication center software and things. So last but not least, that kind of covers the fire fund. just to remind you, we do operate both off of Fire Fund and EMS reimbursement. So those between those two funds, that's where that $6.3 million total operating budget comes from. We do anticipate a delivery of our replacement engine. That engine will replace the Greenwell Station's fire engine, and the first year of financing will occur in 2021 through the Tiff Fund. The last outlier, just to comment on, is you're well aware we were limping through half a chiller all summer long. Essentially, our HVAC system has reached its limit. So we are in the process. We did work with contractors to develop an RFP. We plan to put that out to bid first thing in the beginning of next year and hopefully get that replaced. We do know it is going to be a pretty sizable expense. We're somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000, just not sure exactly what that number is going to be until we put it out to bid and see what we get. So that would be a project for next year. And that is the HVAC system here at Fire Headquarters on Neeb Road. That is it in a nutshell, unless you had any specific questions or anything. Yes.
Trustee Starts.
No, the questions I had, he answered. Thank you.
Very good. Trustee Seavey.
I'm good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Chief Campbell.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
We will move into Human Resources. Melanie Hermes, Human Resource Director, is with us. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Mine is relatively quick. You've heard from me when we talked about insurance earlier in the year, August and September. Let's see, what is he sharing? As I mentioned then, we had a 7.7% increase total. What that means for the premiums was it was 11.3 because that shows with the lasered exposure what we have. So that's our self-funding health coverage. And again, I touch every department's funds. The next one slide, I just was hit that our health increased 3% in October of this year, and it'll increase again. Actually, I believe that's 4%. I apologize. So there'll be a 4% increase on October 1st as well. The dental increase was 2% this year, but it's a rate guaranteed through October 1st of 2022. There was no vision change. It is rate guaranteed. I believe it'll go out this year, but we typically only see a small percentage increase for that. And life insurance, there was no change, and that rate guarantee is through 10/1 of 2023. For our overall expenses, our medical insurance is about 1.5. Our health clinic is about 50,000. Dental insurance is about 71,000, and life insurance is almost $2,000 per year. For a total healthcare cost, that's out of the funds 221 in all the departments. It's about $1.6 million. You also see me twice because of our self-insurance fund. The 221 costs, some of it gets transferred into our self-insurance funds, and that's how we pay our self-insurance premiums and our self-insurance claims. That number is higher than what is shown as coming out of the 221 funds because we also have the employees' contributions. That's the 190 funds. It goes over there as well. So yes, you see me touching everybody's funds, but it is for a good cause. That's all I have.
Rose, anything?
No, thank you.
Very
Appreciate
good.
it.
Trustee Seavey.
No, I'm good.
Great. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melanie.
Yeah. Moving on to community development, Greg DeLong.
All right. Well, when Jack shows my budget, it's going to look extremely boring compared to everyone else's. I say we are the most exciting department, but the least exciting budget. But I want to thank everyone for listening to me real briefly. I'll just highlight some of the bigger changes. As you can see in line item 190, the salary change, that then reflects down through line items 211, which is our OPERS, 213 our Medicare, and our 230 workers comp. And those are set percentages. So that's why those numbers have fluctuated a little bit. Historically, I've always left a little cushion in line items 213 and 230, but with that cushion, we've been able to keep those line items flat for this year, which is really good. We did add line item 212 this year to the budget. I did not realize our board and commission members were getting Social Security. So we needed to add that line item. So we put $500 in there for that to cover that expense for the board, zoning commission, and the Board of Zoning Appeals. Melanie did a great job covering our medical and hospital. As you can see, that definitely spiked up a little bit. That's just, as Randy said earlier, it's just what it is, you know, it just increases every year. The unemployment line item 240, I did request a little bit of a bump in that. When we do have unemployment filed by our board and commission members for where they are working or we're working, we do have to pay their unemployment. This year with COVID, we've been hit a little bit harder, even with some of them had temporary layoffs, they filed unemployment. So we did have to pay some unemployment for them. So we did ask for a little bit more just going into next year, uncertain of what we're going to be dealing with. We feel $500 increase is probably enough to be safe, making sure that account is in whole. Line item 230 or 323, excuse me, repairs and maintenance. We spiked that one up a little bit. Our department has 2 vehicles. We have a 2016 Ford Explorer, and we also have a 2012 Ford F-150 truck. I want to thank Ron and his team for keeping our vehicles running extremely well, but unfortunately this coming year, we're going to have some more comprehensive work that needs to be done, including some new tires on those vehicles. We're increasing that amount up a little bit just to cover those costs. Line item 360, you do see a decrease in that, but it's still a little bit substantial. This line item covers everything from the street banner program to our payroll services, computer services, copier services, all of that. In addition, we also do any additional special projects with that. Last year in 2020, you see the 53,200. That was because we were in the process of budgeting for the zoning resolution rewrite, which we're in the process of wrapping up this year. Next year, I would still like to request $15,000 put in for special projects to use that money as a match to apply for a mini grant through Hamilton County to do a streetscape plan for Delhi Pike. With all of the investment we're seeing on the pike, including our investment, if we can come up with some sort of visual plan to maybe enhance the visibility or the visuals of Delhi Pike, we want to have some sort of plan in place, and plus, you know, just maybe green it up a little bit and get some ideas. So we're going to try to hopefully get some grant funding to match our money to hopefully get some sort of plan put in place to get some sort of streetscape plan for the pike. The rest of the items, as you can see, remain pretty flat, or they have decreased over the year. We do our best to be fiscally responsible in this department, yet provide all the services we need to the community, and yet provide the training necessary for our staff that in the long run will also help the community and the organization. But this year's budget is a little bit over 1% less than last year and about 2.5% less than it was in 2019. So that is my quick summary for you. So unless you have any questions.
Trustee Sturts?
No, thank you. Thank you about the landscape. That was first I heard about that. Very exciting.
That is neat. Trustee Seavey?
I particularly like the fact that the landscape is, or the streetscape is under a possible grant. That's terrific. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Great job, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, amen. Very good. We're going to move on to information technology. Patty Dignan.
Thank you. Good
Information.
evening, everybody.
Hi, Pat.
Hello.
Just a couple highlights to share. The first one is we have a contract, a 3-year contract that started in September of 2018. You guys might remember the network switches. That will be coming off this year in August, so that is good. And there's no other further investment in that. They just work, and we're gonna have them forever, hopefully. Have a couple of projects that I'm requesting funding for. The first one is a SAN replacement. Our SAN is a storage array network device that holds all the data that everyone uses every day. It's not a backup storage for on-site or off-site. It's just every day, all time use from all the departments. And our current SANs, we have 2 of them. They're in their 6th and 7th year of life. And so next year they will be, the warranty and the support will end for them. Since they're part of the important operations of every department, and since the technology has advanced, we're able to purchase just one SAN in replace of the two. Our current space consumption is 10 terabyte with two SANs, but with the replacement of one SAN, we will be able to almost double that storage space. The cost for that, the budget item is $45,000. Any questions on that? And I'll move to the second project.
No.
Okay. The second project is a website redesign. Our current website was established in 2014. And while it has served us well just to provide basic content, it falls short in several areas. There's no way for citizens to customize what they want to be notified for. It does not have online reservations or credit card payments. It doesn't have the automatic alt tags, which is used for ADA compliance. The tools that we use are not very user friendly. They are kind of clunky. It doesn't have league or event management. It doesn't have park facility management. It doesn't have reporting. It doesn't do agenda packets management. And it doesn't have special portals that you can connect to and get content, private portals and then public portals. It also does not include any design refresh. So in my search to find a better website and went through many companies, I found that Civic Plus kind of rose to the top. It provides all that I just mentioned and then more. It integrates technology platforms for local governments and currently is hosting 4,000 local governments. It's a content management integration type website where it's not just pushing information out, it collects it and then you can report on it. And it has two-way communication between the constituents and anybody who wants to connect to it and us. And if we decide to do this, it would be a pretty big undertaking. It would take about 6 months because they convert our current data, provide all new structure. And when completed though, it will provide an enhanced citizen engagement. And I think it would provide a better showcase for Delhi Township, especially with what's happening on the Pike. There are several regional examples of their work. City of Middletown, Marysville, Ohio, Springfield Township, and Lucas County are just to name a few. The budget cost would be $25,000 for that for this year. And that is in contracted services. And really, those are the only things I have. All the other budget items are all cost relating to maintaining our current systems for 2021.
Very good, Patty. Thank you. Rose, starts anything?
No, thank you. It looks like you've done your homework on what's needed out there. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything, Cheryl?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Patty, thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you.
Roll into the police department, Chief Jim Howarth. Hi,
Thank you,
Chief.
Board. Good evening. Thank you, Board of Trustees. Appreciate it. Just going to cover a couple of highlights here as far as some increases that you see and what they're about. The first one, naturally salaries, but you'll see the civilian salaries, the increase there. I know the three of you are aware that we went for a grant with Green Township, Springfield Township, and Coleraine Township to hire a social worker through a grant program. Unfortunately, we received word we didn't get that grant. I've kept that money in there, hoping to do a partnership with maybe another township or the four of us with either Cincinnati Health Behavioral Services for a social worker or Hamilton County Board of Mental Health. So I'm in contact with them. We've been talking to them to see if there's something we could work out there. Therefore, if we do, we had that money in there for the grant purposes, and we're going to keep it in there. Hopefully we can get something done. The next one, just increased 100% also is, it's not a huge amount. The other employee reimbursements, you'll see went from 5,000 to 10,000. That's the line item that we have in the contract for reimbursements for college tuition. Haven't had anybody in the last 3 or 4 years take advantage of that, but I know about 3 that have mentioned that they would like to go back this year in 2021. So that's what that would be. If they successfully pass a course with an A or B, they would be reimbursed for the course.
Chief, where was that? What line was that?
Other employee reimbursements.
259.
59.
Thank you.
And then the contracted services, you'll see an increase there. It kind of went up and down. As Chief Campbell mentioned, the comm center fees thankfully sound like they're going to be cut in half again. So there's a line item in there for 35,000 for comm center fees this coming year. I can remember, when we were spending $21 per detail and spending about 140,000 a year on comm center fees. So they've really helped and assisted us there. But with that, the increase there is Axon conversion with the new records management system and taking our legacy records management system, PAMET, converting all that data into the new one, Axon. That's the increased cost that you're seeing there in contract services. And the other one, small tools and minor equipment. That's equipment that we don't buy, don't use every day, but we replace a lot of times on a schedule. Gas masks we got a long time ago after 9/11. They were provided by the federal government. After so many years, we had to discard them. We never replaced them, so looking to start replacing or actually getting gas masks again with some of the civil unrest that we would have if we would either assist other jurisdictions like the city, or if they come in and assist us on anything. Naturally, we wouldn't be beneficial if we didn't have the equipment to be able to overcome anything that they might help us with there. Ballistic helmets are well over 20 years, almost 30 years old. So we're replacing them half this year, half next year, because they can get quite expensive and so forth. That's pretty much everything. The other line item, the motor vehicles, you'll see at the bottom, decreasing. We're elected not to purchase. We're going a year without purchasing an unmarked vehicle. We were fortunate enough to help the parks out. Randy Soupy had the Explorer there that he didn't need for his purposes. So we took that this year and turned that into an unmarked vehicle. So we will be bypassing purchasing a new one this year. Other than that, if you have any questions, be glad to answer anything you might have.
Trustee Sturts,
No, thank you.
Trustee Seavey.
Mine's a numerical question. I have under contracted services, line 360. My report says 353,500 and your report on this one says 319. Just give me the right number.
319, because that was actually the last thing we actually did today, where we cut the comm center fees down. Although the commissioners haven't voted on it. After talking to Administrator Cameron and his sources, we feel confident it's going to go through. So we knocked it down 35,000. So
Okay.
that's the difference. I apologize.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
That'll roll into our administrator, Jack Cameron, administration.
All right, I've only got about 30 minutes worth of stuff, Mr. Davis, so please sit tight.
Good, good.
I will try and be brief and hit some interesting notes, I hope. So you heard each department go over their items, and I appreciate that. And I thought as they were going through that, and as somebody was trying to follow what the heck we were going and all the numbers, that I might just highlight quickly. So this is, sorry, the share is the general fund, correct sheet? Is that what I'm sharing? Sorry.
Yes.
General fund?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So for people out there, I know the board understands this. These numbers on the left are what are prescribed from the state auditor, their UAN system that we use for our accounting. It is their prescribed numbers. So as you see, there's a salary line for trustees, for fiscal officer, and for the administrator. Then all other staff falls under a different line. So they prescribe exactly what they want all these numbers to have in them. So when Mr. Luby goes to do the financial report, they just get into our UAN system and print it out, and they know exactly what each one of those numbers is meaning. So for those trying to follow along at home, those are not our made up numbers. That's the state auditor. And this just makes it a lot simpler for us to report to them what we are doing. So we follow the state auditor's prescribed method. The general fund, I'm going to skip to the bottom. The general fund and the funds that we control outside of what everybody else has talked about in the TIF, they're generally kind of not that exciting. You know, we have our office staff here in the administration department. Patty talked through the IT needs. Melanie hit the self-insurance, which is actually its own fund. It's set up and it's funded by ourselves. So that's down here. So the total that right now is in draft form is about $24.6 million. As Mrs. Seavey pointed out, she already saw where we had modified something from, you know, the last time she got the sheet, which was yesterday. So please sit tight. I think the intent today is to show you the bigger moving parts, make sure you're comfortable, but some of that tweaking will happen before December 16th, when you will be presented this resolution to put in place appropriations for 2021. So there will still be some tweaks. I'll give you a final binder, but you've seen the bigger parts. You've had a chance to hear why each part is happening. So that is kind of the intention with what we're sharing today. The more exciting part of what I get to talk about is the Tiff Fund. So the Tiff Fund is the tax increment financing district. And what I'm showing is just our tracking sheet, the planning sheet that I use, that we use for each department. But that is a separate fund that has to be used for capital items. It cannot be used for personnel. It can't be used for other things. And what we are doing for 2021, what is being requested is, I'll blow this up real quick. So there's fixed cost, which is some debt refinancing or debt financing for the firehouse that goes off in 2022, some public works projects that were done many years ago and financed at 0% interest. The Greenwell Firehouse loan that is on the books and it goes off in 2024. Then we repay the school district. So out of that 5.2 or so million dollars that we end up seeing in revenue, we put out at least half of that to the school districts and to pay for the tax collection, right about half of it. So the projects that we have from a capital standpoint, police cruisers, we allocate money towards police cruisers. The fire chief mentioned that he is getting a new engine in 2021 and the financing will start, and the $106,000 is financing for that. And then you see it in future years. Ron talked about his buckets that he uses. 250,000 are going for the road project. Then the park has a couple pieces of equipment like lawnmowers or other capital items that they are going to replace. Then the biggest one is the mixed use project at 750,000, which is what we're talking about, helping repay the bond issuance, you know, when that happens. So that's a placeholder. That's what we expect to have to draw out of the TIF fund. All told, the capital items are about 1.27, and the yellow is the balance. And it's, if you recall, you had a $2 million balance there, which you wanted to keep in the fund when you bought the property. And now, so it drew down a little bit, and now it's going to build back up, and especially when some long-term financing comes off. Let's see, the one thing Mr. Soupy had discussed, we have this playground project that is going to happen. I realize it's taken some turns and delays, but it is happening. And that isn't being shown for next year. I'm showing it this year. So it is hitting the budget potentially this year. So it affects the balance regardless. In that playground project, we have 75,000 we think we can absorb from the park fund for this year and 75 for next year. So that might be, you know, 150,000. We have about 600,000 we're discussing needing to pull from the TIF fund. We have the state capital funds, which we're still waiting to get confirmation on. So we have a playground project that we've shared some information on in the past that will be a pretty nice project, a very nice project. So when we get final confirmation of that, we will put more out on it. So we'll leave it there for the playground. So that is the TIF fund in the request for 2021. Let's see. I think that's all I have. So unless you have questions overall, the department's really covered their needs. You will get the resolution, as we tweak it. If you have questions, concerns, as we find errors. Thank you, Mr. Luby, for going through this and pointing out some things that needed to be corrected. We will give you a new sheet for next meeting and new binder sheets. But if you have any questions, concerns, let me know. Everybody else is here to answer any further questions as well.
Very good. Trustee Sturts?
No, everything's been answered. Thank you.
Yes. Trustee Seavey?
No, it's very well done. Thank you very much for the work put into this.
Absolutely. And all those behind the scenes, the financial advisory board members, everybody who just works with the department heads throughout the year, which just completely benefits the residents. So that things are in good hands here in the township. That is for sure. Any other comments before we close the presentation for budget? Anything?
No, thank you.
How about you, Mr. Luby? That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and I appreciate all the department heads taking ownership for their budgets. Every year they do a fantastic job. Our department heads know each line item on their budget, and I appreciate that. It definitely makes my job, Mr. Cameron's job, a lot easier, and the FAB board for getting involved and asking questions. They do a great job as well. So again, thanks to all the department heads. Jack, thank you for pulling all this together. It is a lot of work. It's very time consuming. So appreciate everybody's contribution.
Yeah, very good, everyone. Very good. Okay, we'll move on to the agenda. Public Works. I have nothing on the agenda as of now. Resignation for the fire department, please.
Motion to accept the voluntary resignation of part-time firefighter paramedic Kyle J. Wendling, effective December 4th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion approved. Thank you. Parks and Recreation, nothing on the agenda tonight. Moving to Police Department.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Administration, did you have anything else, Jack?
No, sir.
Okay. And then we have Community Development where we need to schedule a public hearing.
We have a motion to accept and acknowledge receipt of the Zoning Commission recommendation in case ZC 2020-03 and schedule a public hearing for December 16th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion is approved. Thank you. We have resolution, please.
Resolution 2020-222, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 306 Anderson Ferry Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Yeah, this is a repeat offender. I was kind of going back looking at history. We have had 32 complaints on this property since 2012. So as you can see, there is debris on the property again. We do request you declare it a nuisance.
Very good. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts,
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-223, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 5374 Cleander Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is another repeat offender. Looking back at history, we've had 22 complaints on this property in the last 2 years. As you can see, there is debris on the property. It was still in that condition as of this morning. We do request to declare it a nuisance.
Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts,
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-224, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 5421 Cleander Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution, Mr.
Yeah.
DeLong?
This again is another repeat offender. We've only had 2 complaints on it, which is pretty good. As of this morning, that furniture was still at the property, so we do request to declare it a nuisance.
Very good. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts,
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, resolution passes. Thank you. I do not have anything down for public comments. Jack, did you have a couple comments?
Well, I should have brought this up before, and with the project and all the dogs that are around Delhi Township,
Sorry.
hey, it's a virtual world. It's fully acceptable anymore.
I guess.
So we have the mixed use project, which is, I know people, they see the demolition going on. They might not see behind the scenes what is happening, but I can tell people there is a lot of effort and work going on with figuring out the project. And what happens is right now we are just finishing schematic design. So when you put a project in the ground, you have schematic design, then you have the design development phase, and then you have construction drawing phase, and then you start putting things out for bid. We are finished with schematic design, like literally just finishing that. And I am working on something to put out for public consumption now that we know where we're at. So that will happen soon so people can see that. We are still negotiating with North Point for the apartments. I have no reason to believe that will not happen. And I can tell people that is going to be market rate apartments, and it will include the layout will facilitate 55 and older target market as well, not for all of it, but for a portion of it, probably more than half. But it is going to be a nice product, and it will be market rate to the effect that I think some people will go, well, I don't want to pay that much for an apartment. Well, that's the market rate, and I think the market will bear a decent price. Anyway, so we are finishing up. We have the fitness center with Midtown Health. We have potentially a medical tenant we're talking to, so trying to finalize some of that. So things are happening. Demolition will finish in probably about a month or so. So the site will be clean for a few months before we start putting something back in the ground. The trustees are going to have on their agenda the 16th, finalizing the TIF district, and also a construction manager. I hope we're to that point for the 16th. So things are moving extremely fast for the development world. So this is a very exciting project. And I certainly appreciate all the board's support and public support. I mean, there is a lot of positivity that I hear about this project. So that's a quick update, and there will be more as we have some finalized information put out for public consumption through our website, etc.
Very good. Yeah, a lot going on. Good things. We have no public comments, as we said. We do have community events, though. So, Mr. Luby.
Delhi Branch Library program, the free meals for all ages. The program is open on Mondays through December 28th. Time is 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. and that's at the Delhi Branch Library at 5095 Foley Road. The service is made possible through grants and donations to La Soup. The meals are available while supplies last, and you can call 369-6019 for more details. The Homeschool Virtual Book Club, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever by Barbara Robinson, is Wednesday, December 16th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And that will be a Zoom meeting. The suggested ages are 9 through 12, and registration is required at cincinnatilibrary.org. The Homeschool Virtual Club Grump, The Fairly True Tale of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, will be Wednesday, January 20th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. That's also a Zoom meeting, and the ages are 8 to 12. Again, registration is required at cincinnatilibrary.org. And that's all we have.
Okay, well, we do have need for executive session, so we will entertain a motion for executive session.
Motion to retire to executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, and/or compensation of a public employees of the township.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts,
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, motion approved. Very good. We will go into executive session then. We remind everyone, obviously, happy St. Nick coming up. Don't forget that this weekend. Stay happy and healthy, Delhi. And we'll be back December 16th for the next meeting. And that is a Tuesday. Is that accurate?
Mhm.
Very good. Tuesday, December 16th. And we'll be right here. I would imagine we'll still be doing Facebook Live. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and have a safe day.